Hey everybody! I was gonna play a cool intro, but I didn't get it set up in time. So hi, how you doing? Welcome to Behind the Cards. My name is Bobby, and I started doing this series because I'm fascinated with the people behind the tarot cards, not the messages that we're giving, but what brought somebody to this path, what brought somebody to their spirituality, and it's fascinating. Everybody is so different. Today, I have somebody on that we all know and love. Ginger Fae is going to be joining me. Let's bring her on. Hi, Ginger. Where is she? There
Hi,
you are.
Bobby. Thanks so much for inviting me.
This is the first time Ginger and I have been on a broadcast together, so it's kind of
Yeah,
exciting for me.
it is.
I've been watching your broadcasts be paranormal
Ah,
investigations that you do are fantastic. So my favorite one was the Overlook Hotel. I just can't get that out of my head.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been and
I enjoy
I remember watching that.
that.
I
Uh-huh.
remember watching that, and I was communicating with Heather at the time, who was watching. Hi, Heather.
Hey,
And
Heather.
we were pulling cards in the background. It was a lot of
hmm
fun.
hmm Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well,
before
normally
we
on
get
that
into
show,
it, let's.
the audience participates as well. It's just that particular show having Sasha Graham on. I didn't have time to even look at chat. So, but normally we invite everybody to pull cards along with us. It's a lot of fun.
It was a phenomenal show. I mean, so I turned it on and I was like,
What's
"Is that
this?
Sasha Graham? Is that?" Because what people don't realize is Sasha Graham was an actress, and I'm a horror
Exactly.
fan. I'm a horror junkie, so I
Oh,
was
me too.
associated with Sasha Graham
Yeah,
before
yeah.
tarot, um, and I've actually, yeah, here it is, the Darkwood Tarot sitting right next to me, Miss Sasha
Yeah.
herself.
I just
I
used
love this
that.
deck.
I know.
Let's say some hellos to a few
Let's
people.
do.
Oh, Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Heather is here from Soul Academy with Indigo Jaguar, Ocean GD. This is awesome. I love the fact that I'm finally able to sit down with you, Ginger.
Oh, I'm excited
Um,
too. I'm excited
before
too.
we get into this, you are in the hurricane,
Mm.
and your family up here, your tribe has been concerned about you. And we want to make sure that you're okay because honestly, we don't know what's going on.
Right, right. And I just wanted to say, because my family, I haven't my immediate family, one's on the West Coast, one's up in Connecticut, and so I have no family here. And just to see the outreach of the community, whom most I only know through their chatting, many I've read for, some I've become friends with, and to know that people actually care for you other than you're giving them readings was just a heartwarming thing. So thank you all. Thank you all,
It's
Bobby, Ramon, Heather. Thank you for Heather
anyway,
for
we
putting it
were
out
supposed to
there.
actually do this.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so one of us, if not both, are freezing up.
For and because of the hurricane, what happened to my internet there?
And mine might go in and
Anyway,
out as well, just to say. Um,
I
but yeah.
yours is understandable. You're in the eye of the storm out there. So, yeah, I didn't want to pursue the interview and just be like, yeah, come on my channel while you're in the middle of all this. So,
That's
I
fine.
let it I let it rest. But I'm glad we finally have a chance to do this. And before
Yeah.
anybody says anything,
Hmm.
yes, I know my hair is flying all over the place. I was,
Yeah, if you wouldn't say
I'm a
anything,
retired
nobody probably
hairstylist. I was playing with the
noticed.
blow dryer.
There you go. Give it a
Right?
swoop. Give it a
It's
swoop.
just, I see myself and it's
I
bugging
love
me to give it a swoop.
right there. I love it right there.
Care Bear is here.
Hey, Karen. And Karen lives up,
You
she lives
know,
only about 45 minutes from me. And I had no way of connecting with her to see if she was
uh,
okay.
uh,
So, Karen, we need to exchange information so I can check up on you. But
yeah,
she got power before I did,
um,
like
the
3 days before I did.
real. She says the dark wood has been on mine a long time. There.
Hmm.
Oh, the to get list? Is that it? Anyway, so my camera is brand new, so the autofocus, I haven't figured it out yet. So if it starts getting
Right.
blurry,
Yeah, exactly.
we know why. Um,
What
we are
for?
going to take a journey down the Fool's Path. Now, the first card is obviously the the Fool. Where did your journey start?
The
How
spiritual
did you know
journey.
you had gifts?
Oh, that journey.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so my spiritual journey started, growing up, I had little, like things like knowing things before they happen, and I didn't realize, I remember in seventh grade going, did I just make that happen? you know? So, and I didn't realize I had the gift of manifestation. Um, and then back in 90, I don't know, 4, 6, my friend, my neighbor, she's like, let's go to this spirit fair. Well, they were called psychic fairs back then. And it was this little white church in Long Beach, California that we would visit once a month. And being in that environment, I'm like, I feel good here. I want to be able to read for people and do all that. And I bought my first deck then, and it was the Heindel Tarot. Um, but it was not a beginner's deck for sure. And then back when you and I were just talking about doing nails, I had this
Yeah,
customer come in.
we both used to do that.
Right. So I had a customer that would come in and she would dress pretty eclectically. And I'm like, how do I even ask someone what, how do you just ask, are you psychic or are you? So one day it finally just flowed out. And I said, are you into the physical by chance? Bobby, shall be right back. Um, Poor Bobby. It's usually me. I shouldn't jinx myself. Knock on wood. um,
Okay.
and you're clear. So yeah, she said yes. I'm a white witch, and I got really excited. Um, are you there? Are you
Yeah,
there?
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. So, anyways, for Christmas, she gifted me a set of runes that she hand painted on little shells and placed in a bigger shell. And she said these have been charging on my altar for 2 weeks here. So the
Nice.
tarot card went to the side real quick, and then I did runes for a little while. And then about 13 or 14 years ago, I really started getting more into the tarot and using my psychic gifts. And then I'll stop there, I think, because since we have a whole deck to go.
Right. That's a good answer.
It's
It's
funny because
I
I was expecting the Fool um, correlate with a happening or something, and I was going to say, "Oh yes, well I was climbing a cliff one time and almost died,
now
but
you
somehow
mentioned Long
right
Beach.
with that."
You mentioned Long Beach. Back
Mhm.
up a minute.
That's
Where
my
in Long
home
Beach were
base.
you?
Long Beach, near the ocean. um,
I lived at Third
like
and
Newport.
Eximino.
Wet?
I lived at Third and Eximino.
No way. I lived at
Yeah.
Second and the beach.
We were neighbors. Oh
Oh,
my
for
God. You
God's
guys don't
sake.
realize how close we were. I mean, we're like, I could walk to her place from where I live.
I
Oh
totally
my God.
remember Eximino.
Yeah, I used to walk down to
Oh
the
my
Olympic
God, Bobby.
pool all the time down there at the beach. It took me
Yeah,
about 2 minutes.
I know.
Um, so let's keep going. We do have a lot of
That
cards to
was
get through.
amazing. We'll
The
talk
next
after.
card. Yeah, we've got a lot of synchronicities going on. Um, the Magician is our next card up.
Okay.
Willpower, manifestation, creation. My favorite part of the Magician, though, is communication. When
Oh,
did you? Oh, look at my pretty face. Um, when did you? I'm not liking this camera the way it's sticking.
it's
When
got to
did
get to know
you
you.
finally feel comfortable to start telling the general public about your gifts?
Right. Um, Probably back a little bit when I worked in the nail shop, when I got to know my white witch customer. Um, we would trade services. I would do her nails, she would do a reading, and for me, and she told me I had the gift for sure. But really public is on YouTube about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. Amber Lavender Moon um,
Hmm.
would ask me to come on to do, I love doing tarot spreads. So it started off there. And then I told her I wanted to be on her show. It was called, uh, gosh, I just lost my mind. It was a paranormal hangout. So I went on her show to talk about my paranormal activity in my home. And then we decided to do a tarot spread about the little girl who seems to reside here. And that got me exposed to the public. And then Scott Scorpio's son and I were chatting,
Hmm.
and he was starting his channel, and he was afraid to do live readings. And I said, well, I would like to do more readings as well. So I will come on your show, have me as your first guest. And that's when I had my confidence to say, I was on with Betty Palmer, medium, for several shows. And that got me acclimated in realizing I have a gift. But working with Scott for a little while, we both kind of grew together as far as being exposed.
Hmm. Scott kicks butt online. I
Yeah,
love watching him.
yeah.
Um,
Fun watching him grow.
was it terrifying when you started?
This is the bizarre thing. It should have been, but it wasn't. And I think it was because I was on Lavender Moon's channel often enough that I got to know the people in chat.
Hmm.
And being even the year prior, being in the chats of Simon and through COVID, and he would do his quarantine stream every day around 12. I got to know a lot of these people. Nancy, Nancy lived in China, but that was back in 1921. She
Oh.
graduated when I was born. Yeah, but funny enough, I was not terrified. I think I should have been, but I guess I can't even explain it. So,
See, for me, I didn't start doing readings online. I started with this show. That's how I started. Um,
oh,
my theory was I need to get comfortable in front of the camera
mm-hmm,
before I was. comfortable enough to do readings for people online. I didn't know what to do. Um, Gerald was my first interview, and I was terrified. I had no clue what I was doing. It was just I want to have him back on. I
I
love that
know,
man.
and I bet he made you feel at ease right away, right?
He did, and it was his
Loved it.
encouragement that made me want to do a second show.
I think he was my
And
second guest.
yeah, he just seems to be like the
Yeah,
go-to man to
yeah.
inspire people.
Hmm.
Before every show, I always have this next to me because of Mr. Gerald. Sip, sip,
Oh,
everybody.
this, yes. I have my little boo. I found me a boo cup.
I saw when you were on.
And just a shout out, my little tarot boo is with me too.
Um, the Did you get blowback from people when you started telling people in your personal life what you did?
Well, okay, so 18 years ago, I moved from the West Coast here to the Bible Belt. I told no one. I would talk to my next door neighbor who ended up being like my sister from another Mista. And she wasn't into that kind of thing. She moved away for a couple years and then she comes back saying, "Hey, do you want to take this psychic course?" I'm like, "I thought you weren't into this kind of thing." So we found a community here. It's not just the Bible Belt. There's a spiritual community here, New Age spirituality. So amongst those friends, but my family I didn't tell for years, and like, do you even believe me? And until one day I was doing a reading for my sister, and she's like, "Oh my God, it's like you're reading my mind," but I still can't talk to them about it because they just still don't understand. And then there's very, very,
It's
very few friends to talk amongst. So the YouTube community
yeah,
has been a blessing.
it's uh, it's scary stepping out in a new direction. I Especially when you're surrounded by people whose minds are not open to it. And that leads a lot of us to work in the shadows.
Yes.
I'm a witch. I don't know
Uh-huh.
your true path,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to ask right off the bat. We're going to
Oh,
get to that.
okay. We'll
But
get to that. Yeah.
yeah, it's one of the questions.
Awesome.
It When people hear the word witch or psychic or tarot reader, they flip.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's just the way it is. It's the
Well, now
media.
I have a backup of I it was Doreen Virtue, I think. I was getting
Mhm.
emails and she sent an email. It is in the Bible in Corinthians 13, if I'm not mistaken, about the general people given gifts. And it stated each gift, and each of those gifts is what we do. So I have that retort now if they say, "Oh, you're working with the devil."
Do you know what my retort is in religious conversations?
Love to hear it.
Um, I say, "Oh, I'm one of the other people," and what? I, I'm I'm one of the other people. They say, What do you mean? You know, when the sons of Adam took wives from other lands, I'm one of the other people." So
Love
that
that.
and it just flips them out, and it makes them. It's basically here, look over there, and me running.
Love it.
The High Priestess is the next card on our list,
Okay.
and she represents intuition, mystery,
Mhm.
and the subconscious mind. Can you go into your gifts a little more?
Sure. So I've had known that I could, and I hated the word psychic for the longest time, and I'd always just say
Yeah.
intuitive. Um, but one day, and many of you have heard this story before, but one day I was playing with the cards after work, and my youngest son, So first of all, I have two sons. My oldest has autism, and my youngest son was volunteering in with the class, the autism classes. And he came home one day, and he was sad, and I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "One of the special needs students passed away unexpectedly last night." And all of a sudden, I had this vision. I said, "Did she have blonde hair and black rimmed glasses?" And he didn't even say a she or he either. And he says, "Yes, it was Amber." And so I was using the cards, saying, "What if let's play, let me experiment. Let me pull the cards and see if you can give them a message, not necessarily a eulogy, but just some warm words. And as I'm shuffling, I get these tingles all over. And I said, "Oh my God, I think she has something to say." So I started pulling cards, and as I was giving the reading, I was getting emotional, and I didn't know what came over me. And she literally, the cards had said that, and the old cliche that I hated hearing all the time, she said it. She was released from earthly limitations. She didn't want people to be sad for her. She wanted everybody to love one another, and that she was in the house of our creator. And there was more to it, but that's the gist of it. I was crying. Why am I crying? And that's when I first learned that I had the ability to channel.
And were
So
you scared?
no, I wasn't scared. I was like, what is this? And I wasn't reading the cards. I was reading the images.
Mm-hmm.
So now from then on, I was like, okay, I know what the Four of Swords means, but I'm an artist, so by each deck, the my meanings may change because of the artwork and the
Exactly.
detail. And you know, long story short, it's just I read through the images. The images speak to me, and I know when
That's good.
their spirit is coming in, because I get tingles either on the right side or all over. And if I say something that must be on point, the tingles go all over. But when I'm speaking with my team, it's always on my left side that I feel tingles, I call them.
The tingles. I
Yeah.
wanted to talk to you about the tingles. Now, I heard you talk in the past about if it's on the left side,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
What
known
did I do to my
spirit.
hair?
If it's on the right side, I love your hair. I think it's
Okay.
perfect. If it's on the right side, it's an unknown entity
Yeah.
that you haven't been
Mm-hmm.
in contact with before. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it's something similar. It's when I saw you say that, I was like, no freaking way. When I feel this on this side, I know it's one of my close family members, like the Abraham, you know, somebody who has that personal relationship with me, and it's on, if it's on this side,
Uh-huh.
it's somebody from a higher plane.
Right.
Um, for
Right.
me, it's an animal guide, an
Mm.
angel, or a god, Hecate Hermes.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
that's how I interpret that. When it's a strong message, though, this is
Ooh.
it's all over, and I don't know if you get this, but it's my eyes, it's intensity. It's I can feel the pressure from
Ooh.
inside, like I can feel it. And
Wow.
when you were discussing this on, I think your last broadcast with
Oh,
you and the two other ladies, um, I was just transfixed. I was like, "Oh my God, this, this." Um,
do you know
we
how I
have to talk
learned what
more.
no was for me?
Huh?
You know how I learned what no was for me is I went to in Asheville a crystal shop, and I pick up this crystal. I'm like, oh, pretty. And then I get this deep pressure on my right temple. I'm like, okay, that's a no. And ever since, that's how I know if it's a yes, I'll get a little like almost like they run their finger on this temple, and no is when they
Yeah.
press on that temple. It was
See,
funny.
okay, I did a reading recently and I got hijacked.
Mm.
I'm just learning channeling and I got hijacked.
Oh,
And it was my clearance guide,
uh
and it
huh.
turned out to be a family member of theirs, and he is a shamanistic person.
Ooh,
And so when it happened, I was fighting for control of my own mouth. I couldn't. I mean,
what?
me talk like in trying to, and it's like I was trying to
Wow.
keep control of my own mouth, and it was pissing me off.
Oh my.
Um,
That's starting to be beginnings of a trans channeling,
I
Bobby.
don't like that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie to you. I don't like that. I know I'm capable of it, but I had a bad experience when I was younger because I was
Mm,
basically I thought I could do something I couldn't do, and it
right.
kind of put me off it. So until I find somebody I can work with one on
Mhm.
one, I'm really not going to attempt that.
Yeah. Yeah. That scares
So
me. That's one thing that would scare me.
it did. It really it annoyed me. I wasn't scared
Mm,
because I could tell it wasn't malicious,
okay.
but it
That's
was rude. It was just
you
plain
are being
rude.
rude and you do not have permission to speak through me.
Honestly, that's what it was. It was freaking rude. All right, so next up we have the Empress. She embodies fertility, beauty, and abundance. What brings beauty into your life?
Well, aside of the cliche of my two sons who are just I have to watch not bragging about them because they truly are for me. Like, I mean, even my son with autism, he's a beacon of light. He's psychic for sure. Brendan's learning his connection with spirit, but beauty.
You said you're
God,
an artist. What kind of
yeah.
art do you do?
Oh, gosh. Okay. I sketched for many, many. I don't know, over 40 years. And then I started toll painting, which was painting on wood. And
Hmm.
so I did that for several years. So I didn't think I could paint because I was such an artist. And I always thought color sometimes ruined the details that I can get through sketching. And so, but I've done some watercolor, but there's a new fashion, like not Jeremy Hush, Steve Samsara. One of my favorite oracle decks is the Woven Wisdom, and I love how it's a sepia tone sketching with just a very hint of watercolor to pop things, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. So he had a workshop, and so a mentorship, I should say. And so I contacted him, and I hadn't I hadn't drawn in like 20 years, and so I wanted to know if I could still draw. So I chose one of his art pieces to copy from, and when I when he accepted me as mentor, I showed it to him. I said, "Do you mind that I just wanted to practice?" He goes, "No, show me." And he's like, "You don't need my help." I'm like, "Yes, I do. I copied this. This isn't my mind." He's like, "You don't need my help. You even got my mistakes in there." I'm like, "What are your mistakes?" He's like, "I'm not going to tell you."
Right?
But I got my confidence back. And the reason why that picture looks so good because I was fixated on the show. Um, oh gosh, the tattoo show, Ink Master.
Ink Masters. God, what a great show.
And the thing I kept hearing him say, you got to pack in the black. It's what makes it pop. And I was always ever so, no pun, but gingerly shaped. And oh my God, so I'm like, my son let me use his pencils that were different grades of graphite. And I was just like, oh my God, that's like so beauty in artwork. Nature is artwork. Children and their energy is artwork. And with all those things, that's where I find beauty. I find beauty in the smallest little ladybug to, clouds in the sky.
That's awesome. The next card up, we have the. I'm all listening to your story. You're such. Your voice
Thank
is so
you.
soothing, Ginger. Uh, the Emperor signifies authority, structure, and leadership.
Oh,
Um, are you? How do I say this? When did you become aware that you were a leader in the spiritual community?
oh, in the spiritual community. Okay, let me switch up my thought there. Um, I don't. In the spiritual community, I don't know if I consider myself a leader, but I do hope that I can illuminate one's life or their life path. Um, I just feel everybody needs guidance, or that add a girl, add a boy, wait, hang on there, the light's coming. I needed that growing up. I didn't have it. And so many people can't afford therapy. And I just knew growing up, I'm a nurturer. I'm a Cancer
Right.
sun. Um, and I was always an introvert, but I have an Aries rising and moon, and so I never thought I would be here today like this. So
Well, the
I,
Emperor is associated with Aries. So,
right. So, but as far as leadership, I'd like to be maybe a guide. I don't know if I'm not in the spiritual community, but
I'll accept that. You're definitely an elevated soul and a guide, and your words reach people. They really
Bobby,
do.
thank you. That touches me.
Um, so that answers that question. You don't really see yourself in a certain light, but the rest of us do. All right. So,
In the rest of the 3D world, leadership for sure. I embody both Empress and Emperor because I'm a single mother. So, but the spiritual world now, I just hope to be a beacon of
all
light.
right. Well, let's say you applied it to the mundane world.
Is that a question? um, I thought we were moving on.
Okay.
No,
Let's
I
see.
mean, I became a single mom, and so obviously I had to assume a leadership role. And during this hurricane, having to be my own hero, but I had an awesome sidekick, for, my son Brendan, trying to keep the norm as much as I can for my son Kyle.
And how
Um,
old are they?
Kyle, he's 26, and Brendan's 23. He just turned 23.
I feel like
I'm
I
starting
dropped
to figure
something.
out. Um, so to test my resourcefulness and strength, I feel I passed that test. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. The any I was raised by a single mother. I know how strong you have to be to raise your children. My mom raised three kids by herself. Um, she had help from the family, but
Mm.
she worked a lot. You're my generation, Ginger. We're
Mhm.
Gen X. We were latchkey kids. We were the
Yeah,
wild childs.
right.
But yeah, that wouldn't fly today. None of it would fly today. Oh, we missed a whole card, didn't we? The
Do.
Hierophant
Ah,
represents traditions, spirituality, and teaching.
thank you,
Um,
Heather.
you mentioned an art teacher, but who can you go into more about where you who you considered spiritual mentor, guide? Who did you focus on to learn more about yourself?
Hmm. Um, well, first, I'll have to go back to my grandmother. She was the one person in my life that truly showed her love and compassion for me and made me feel like I did matter. And so, on that, 3D element, for sure, my grandmother. And then through, I don't know, symbiosis, osmosis, whatever, I became a different person than I could have been if she weren't in my life. And so I grew up being compassionate to everybody else. But spiritually, it was when I started taking psychic courses and, you know, just to have somebody who is a psychic and a medium tell me that I am just as gifted. And of course, in the beginning, you're like, not me, not me. um, so yeah, so her, I don't know if she'd want me to say her name here, but
We'll call her Brenda.
Brenda, because she sure was no Karen. No, oh my gosh, I didn't mean. When I first heard that term Karen, I thought how rude because I have some good friends named Karen. Um, but that she was my spiritual teacher, and I learned so much from her on so many levels. And I think if it weren't for her, I wouldn't have had the confidence, to believe in myself. And so that would be my spiritual mentor, and she mentored me for a couple years.
Mine was an aunt, and I miss her to this day.
Oh,
She was a phenomenal woman. So, the lovers symbolize love, relationships, and choices. I'm going to ask this question because it's intrigued me. Do you find being in a relationship difficult because what they say you don't you know the truth behind what they're saying? You can feel. Do you know what I'm trying to say here?
I do,
Um,
I do,
has your
because
gifts interfered with relationships?
um, well, like say in high school, I think it was just I didn't say a whole lot, and um, you know, so it was never really talked about. And I didn't really know fully on my gifts then either. When I fast forward to when I got married, it was so funny because, you know, the man, the man formerly known as my husband, had no clue that every time he would say something, I would say something, he'd be like, how'd you know I was thinking that? And you would think after 13 years of marriage he would catch on. But it's never affected that part of me never affected my marriage because that it was put up on the back burner for the many many years.
Right.
So it wasn't until after the divorce, 2 3 years later maybe, that I could be free with it. And so, and sad to say, my boys, not sad to say that my boys have always come first, but sad to say that I have not been in a relationship since because I'm raising my boys.
Understandable.
Yeah,
And
yeah. But moving
You are
forward to be in a relationship, it would be sometimes that mind reading thing is not, it's never intentional. It just
right.
happens.
It's for
As
empaths
long as they're
especially.
behaving themselves, they should have nothing to worry about.
I don't tell people when I meet them. Well,
Mhm.
I've been married for 25 years, but
Mhm.
I never used to tell people that I was a witch or an empath or psychic,
Right.
anything,
Right.
nothing. And it would just come out over time. But I, anytime I did mention it right off the bat, it was seemed to always put the other person on guard. Like
Right.
they seemed to always have
I don't
to
think I'd ever mention it
watch what
right
they were
away.
saying. Yeah, it was just better for me not to. Um, so we have the chariot. You mentioned you're a
Mhm.
Cancer.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
The chariot, say, because the chariot is associated with Cancer,
It
for those
is.
who don't
Mhm.
know. The chariot represents determination, control, and willpower.
That's
Have
me. It's me in a nutshell.
I I already know
Mhm.
that you are a single mom raising your kids, and that takes determination, control, and willpower.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to go too much into this, but
Uh-huh.
how do you see the chariot card and how does it relate to your life?
Well, I have learned, and then being the Cancer with the chariot, I have learned these subtle ways of being in control. I've learned through my son who has autism, the way to have control but compassionately. I don't know if that makes sense. Softly, I don't even know how to put it into words. I have my way of being in control, but I'm never domineer. Well, I don't know if I've ever not been
May
domineering,
I
but
throw something in here real quick that may
sure.
help? The chariot is associated with the Hebrew letter chet, 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 and
Hmm.
it means fence, the fence that guides you.
Uh,
So what you're saying sounds like you're not doing this and taking
right.
control and guiding them, but you're providing boundaries where they have plenty of room to work within.
Right. But
Do you think
in
that
this,
would work?
well, you know how the chariot is the uh two different forces. You have the
Yeah.
yin and the yang energy. So I feel like I am good at marrying the two to drive forward with. um well, typically what it really means, two opposing forces but being successful at it. And so yeah, so that, just the drive, the determination keeps you going. But I've been able to be successful most of the time. I can't say all the time, but in marrying or getting the two opposing forces to blend and um, be copacetic, and then working together moving forward. Yeah,
Copacetic.
I know.
My dad loved
I
that
learned that
word.
word through
He
a
said that
song,
word
and I'm like,
constantly. So I love it. Is everything?
okay.
He was a musician. That's probably where he learned it too. um, Strength is our next card, and strength embodies courage, inner strength, and resilience. This goes along with what we were talking about. Um,
Mm-hmm. Bye, Heather.
the difference is the first seven cards of the Arcana deal pretty much with the physical realm.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're into the next seven, which is the mental realm, and it's not always easy being strong. Has there ever been a point in your life when you just wanted to go outside and scream at the ground and pound?
Um, wanting to, yes. The being able to, I think I always fought that. It's, uh, um, there's been two, and this would be the third incident in my life where I've had to really be strong. And you just have your silent tissue parties. um, I'm not one to blow up. I'm just always very even tempered, and I know that sounds hard to believe, but um, I very rarely yelled at people in my life. And then having a son with autism, that you just can't do that. You have to. They feed. I believe they're just such strong empaths, and I realized this throughout my marriage. Um, I was always very even, breathe, and because if you lose your temper, it didn't scare them away from anything. It made them more anxiety filled and stuff. But
Right.
it came naturally to me, though. I'm just, that's the cancer part of me, very docile, very wanting everything to be smooth. And when things got really tough and you had to be strong, it's the behind closed doors that you just have your tissue party.
Gotcha. Um, one of the things I love about strength is that it's the Kundalini energy inside the chakras. I keep going back to the Hebrew alphabet.
That's
The
fine.
letter for this is Tet, meaning serpent, the inner serpent of strength and energy.
Mm.
So let's go on to our
My
next
Chinese
card.
zodiac is the serpent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Hermit symbolizes introspection, wisdom, and solitude.
I got that solitude down to a T. I'll tell you that much.
Are you hard on yourself?
I so am. I don't know. I don't know. I think it was maybe my upbringing of a parental unit being extra hard and no compassion and stuff like that. And so, you grew up just, still being hard on yourself because that's what they would have said or something like that. So it's hard to cut that cord. But yeah, I'm just for even the littlest things, oh my God, I wish I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. How could I, weakness,
Yeah.
I would admit, is procrastination. I just can't find the time or, um, the hermit guiding others. Oh, thank you. But yeah, I am my own worst critic in every sense,
Ange is here. Hi, Ange. How you
And
doing? Ange is going to be on my show next week.
yay, love Ange. We've read together, and yeah, so I'll be looking forward to that
Um,
show. You
so
we broken up. I can't hear
I
you.
think that pretty much answers it. Your rest of our generation are.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and being
Um,
the wallflower
the
all my life is where you gain. I feel us introverts sometimes have more wisdom because we can what's that word?
observe.
Observe everybody's energies and the interaction, what they didn't like about I really paid attention on what men complained about their women, their wives, and vice versa. Learning by other people's mistakes, gaining such wisdom because I'm not too busy yapping. So
Mhm.
I feel like my solitudeness. Well, solitude is different. That's hiding. I won't go out into the world if I don't have to. Yet I love people. I don't know. It's weird. Go on. Move on.
All right. Let's go on to the wheel, which is the natural cycles, change of like, how do you handle the ups and downs of
Yeah.
life?
Well, this spiritual journey has really assisted in that respect. And now my new saying is wheel happens. So I've just always been a very go with the flow kind of person. And you know, I just like, even in, like, let's say high school, when a boyfriend or you go out with a guy a couple times and then nothing came of it. And instead of going, what's wrong with me? I'm like, okay, uh, go back to my artwork or my guitar playing. So it's just like, I've just always been a go with the flow person. I was a Navy brat. So, you couldn't get attached to things and let it affect you. But more so through this spiritual journey, after my divorce, especially, is when I learned to breathe through everything. And you can't swim against the current. You just ride it out and make the best of it. And
Well, being from California, I use that analogy a lot because of body surfing. We used to do that out there. You can't fight the current. You just
you can't
gotta
break the current.
surrender to
Well,
it and
it's funny you
flow
said it,
with
because
it.
that's exactly what I was thinking when they say you get caught in a riptide. Oh my God, can I share real quick? That just made me funny. Okay, so I was born in San Diego, and I was out in the water. Well, the tide was going out, and I kind of got sucked into that little ravine
Hmm.
as a big wave washed over me. It's like
Did you tumble?
I could have died, and my mom's laughing at me. Just saying.
Yeah, my dad used to do the same
Let
thing.
go with the flow. Ride those
You guys
waves.
don't understand being hit by a wave like that. You really have no direction. The only thing you can do is surrender to it and wait. And just
That's if
hope
they're
you find
unexpected.
air.
Now, if you see it coming, you swim under it.
Oh yeah, you dive. Yeah, absolutely. I miss body surfing. I want to go now. My age, I'd probably kill myself.
I was never good at
Um, I loved it.
that.
The We used to pack all 14 of us into a little Honda and go to the beach.
Lord have
Uh,
mercy.
my teenage friends. So justice is the next card. This signifies balance, fairness, truth. Um, how are you when you see injustice around you?
And it's happened so often. I've just learned that, and it's situational, of course, but I'm always trying to find the balance. I really do. I just, workplace, anywhere. But there are times where there's injustice, and your voice will not be heard, because I tried. And then it got to the point where I know that establishment, you just be the wheel. And
Right.
I try so hard to make things right and equal, and it's to a detriment sometimes. Hey, Hershey. And you just have to pick your battles. I learned the hard way. Just pick your battles, and you can still kind of try behind the scenes, but you're only going to frustrate yourself more.
I see. We're gonna get through it now. Oh, hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
My husband's walking through. He's cooking dinner, I think.
Oh, yum.
Um, so we have the Hanged Man, which symbolizes surrender, perspective, and sacrifice.
Mm. That's
Outside of your family, what would you say is the biggest sacrifice you've had to make?
um
And I say
outside
that
of,
because all mothers sacrifice for their families.
right. I'm trying to think. my biggest sacrifice until I switched jobs a year ago was, um, gosh, it was workplace. I mean, when you're a manager of food service, you sacrifice time, energy, but you also sacrifice, you like, for instance, okay, so I worked in school and I was the food nutrition manager. And at some point, the school was losing a lot of money for parents not paying. And the school implemented this horrible process. Well, if they don't pay, we still are obligated to feed them, but instead of this hot meal, we'll give them a ham sandwich and an apple and milk.
Mm-hmm.
And I would put up my head on the chopping block to defend these poor children, because it's not their fault.
Right.
It's their parents' fault. So I sacrificed a lot of emotional anxiety that took away from my family, my sons. That's the only thing I can think of as far as sacrificing outside of the family, was sacrificing my energy, my time, just for a paycheck, you know. Um,
Understood.
yeah, yeah.
That's a great answer. And just to tell you this, I told you my mom was a single mom that raised us.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't always have lunch money.
Right.
And sometimes the lunch person used to just pass us through.
I
And
would accidentally, on purpose, forget to give them that little bag meal and give them a hot meal.
yeah, same thing. So I was lucky enough to have somebody just like you in my life. So I know how important what you've done for these people is.
Yeah,
It may
because
not,
sometimes it was their only hot meal of the day.
it's true.
So
Sometimes it was the only meal of the day
right.
for us.
So
Um, the death card represents transformation, endings, and rebirth.
what? It
What was the
doesn't
biggest
represent the
transformation? It
paranormal.
can, yes.
But anyways, your question.
Um, I don't remember anymore. What is the death card to you? Let's go this route because I have a feeling you have some insights on this.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was thinking about, if he talks about the death card, I mean, I'm so fascinated with the paranormal. But as far as when I learned what the death card meant, it made so much sense about, letting some things die that are holding you back. So it's like that zombie that comes out of the ground and holds on to you. You can't go anywhere. Or you break free, chop that hand off, and go pick some flowers. Learning the meaning of the death card was a game changer for me, for reading tarot. Because it is about that release of the old, to make room for the new, cutting energetic cords, even to people who you felt obligated to, and realize, oh my God, that's not a
Aka
rule.
chords.
It's
The
not a
Aka
rule
chords.
that
And
you have to stay attached to these people, and to free yourself, to breathe, to expand, to just that inner light illuminate. So when I read for people and I get the death card, I just, it's circumstantial, of course, but I just know how to intuitively just know how to navigate that death card and weave it into their story, to where they're not afraid.
while
Oh my
we're
God.
on the death card,
What's that?
I want to know, while we're on the death card, I want to know where the idea for the investigations came from.
Oh, well, so I had this activity in my house, and I kept asking, I wonder if I can communicate through this. Is before I knew I could do mediumship channeling through the cards. And I thought, I wonder if I could. And then one night I was on Amber's channel, and she had two versions of her channel. One was tarot, and the other was paranormal. And so I was on both. So the tarot, I was going on to do a tarot spread connecting with those who've passed over. And instead of doing the tarot spread as the collective, I mean, the collective can follow along, which was what we did. She said, "Oh, why don't we do it on Sally?" And I said, "You read my mind." And so I said, "I've been wanting to do this for so long." And as a matter of fact, how, thank you, Karen, how I launched my channel was I went on to Amber's paranormal show, and we started investigating somebody's house. And then she says, "Okay, everybody, I want you to stop and surprise, Ginger's starting a channel. So I want everybody to get off my channel and subscribe to Ginger's channel, go on her channel, forget me for the night, and let's go over there." And that was my champagne on the boat opening to my channel, was a paranormal investigation.
Your paranormal investigations are awesome. I mean, they're so cool, and they're it's like the sing at home karaoke. I love playing along. I really do.
It is so fun because the format is always, I only had like 4 or 5 base questions, but I let the current tell the story, and we would just pause at certain, okay, everybody pull a card on this. So to have the collective join in is just so much fun. And we even, one time we were doing a homestead. I have a playlist in Paranormal, and we were investigating a homestead in, was it Milwaukee? Milwaukee? Anyways, it just so happened that Joe G came in, and we were channeling. All of a sudden, we went from one thing to like the American Indians. And Joe G happened to pop in. Well, she was related to the tribe we were talking about, and she like affirmed a lot of what we were pulling and coming up with. So to interact with the chat and have them pull cards with us. We even did Amityville, but Lavender Moon, Amber has archived her channel right now, which when she did that, she took some of our episodes away. So I got to contact her to get those, because some of those were some of the best investigations.
Right. I just,
that's how it started.
If people watching are agreeing, it's your paranormal investigations are a cool concept.
I want to do more of them, but it's getting harder to find people with activity. So now I'm having to reach out to like Stanley Hotel. Let's,
Well, and I've been trying to organize one, and I already talked to Nancy about it. I live by Fort Huachuca here in Arizona. Oh. And there's hauntings on the fort. And the reporter who covered the story is a friend of mine, and I keep trying to get with her. And life happens, and we don't get to do it. Did you say Mama D? Wait, back up.
Yeah, Ms. D's here.
That's what my best friend. Oh, Miss Tarot D. Oh, hey, Miss Tarot D. Mama D is my best friend, and she pops in every now and then.
Oh, how fascinating!
And she's a psychic and tarot teacher in my town. And
Yeah, so it's
she's
getting harder
beautiful.
to find. I can't conduct them by myself. And then when we investigated Ramon's house, he was just in awe of how that whole process went. And I asked him if he would be my co-host. So I would love to do it more than once a month. It's just his schedule is different, and I can't conduct them by myself. I mean, I probably could, but it's no fun doing it by yourself.
I'd
So you're
love to be on
welcome
there
at any
sometime.
time. Anytime, you're welcome.
I would love that. That'd be so fun. And speaking of Mr. Ramon, Moon Scarab himself, I love that man. He is awesome. He has been so encouraging for my channel, and he has given technical support more than him and Gerald have
Yeah,
given me. Because
what a team! What
I
a
I
team!
know this. Turn the computer on. That's what I know. So
And now look
it,
at you.
and I intended to do that wrong. Um, but yeah, somebody told me in chat the other night. I was on a show with Ramon, and one of the comments was something about Robert looks like the Wish version of Ramon, and it stung, right? And I know they were playing, but it
Gosh,
just kind of.
I thought you were brothers when I first found out about you. I thought you were brothers.
I wish that man is perfect. It's unfair. He's so perfect. So he makes the
Man
rest
should
of us
be
look
that
bad. The
beautiful,
rest of us,
right?
man. Now he shouldn't be that beautiful or that spiritual. It's not fair. So the devil symbolizes
Speaking of
temptation,
spiritual,
materialism. It symbolizes temptation, materialism, and control. Um, have
Jonathan.
you ever had Jonathan's here? Oh,
Jonathan here.
hey Jonathan, what's up, my buddy? Um, what has been your biggest struggle with? Um, have you ever had to face any struggles with addiction or anything like that? Let me put it that way. And it doesn't always have to people be drugs and alcohol or anything like
Right.
that.
Um, I mean, other than, growing up in the 80s, 70s, 80s, you're a pothead, but I didn't say that
You
live.
bitch. You bitch.
But that wasn't an addiction. That was because there was nothing else to do in Henderson, Nevada. That's where I went to high school. And I quit all the time because I felt like, oh, I need to give my body a break. But addiction, other than being, well, that's not an addiction. Um, Food would be, I think, my only addiction. I don't know. What would that say? We would know it'd be just.
Oh,
Oh,
it
um,
was funny at the time. It just stung.
but
For the
at
rest of
the
the night, I was
same
like,
time,
ouch.
yeah, yeah, right. It's that
That was a
that when you
good
hit
one,
your
though.
knee or your elbow, that was funny. Not that hurt.
Right?
No, I don't think I could identify with addiction as much as I'm reading this temptation.
Temptation.
Yeah, there was just,
And what has been
um,
your biggest temptations?
you know, just always. Well, I guess I don't know. Is that right? So these are getting harder to answer. Um, Temptation. Okay, I was
You're in
very
the
much
spiritual realm now.
right. Growing up, I was always tempted to push the envelope. I was I was a tomboy, so I did a lot of risk taking. Temptation of I don't know. I don't know. I guess if I don't know how to answer that. Food is the only thing I can think of. Being a cancer, we love food, and we love our carbs, and we love our sugars. Uh, I can't say. I really don't know how to
Sugar.
answer. Materialism, I'm very down to earth.
When you see the devil card pop up in a reading, what does it usually imply?
Yeah. Well, it's funny, and that again, situational. It depends on the court and what they're asking. I could go the route of, um, you know, I think there's some. Most of the time, I will say, and not refer to like addictions thing. What has control over you? Person, object, fantasy, whatever. But sometimes if I know the person kind of well, I'd be like, all right, this is saying you need to go out, have some fun, get chained up, tie someone to the bedpost. It
Oh, the
depends on
90s.
what you're for.
Okay.
Yeah, so that again, another one that I learned a whole different meaning when I started diving deep. So it depends on how the rest of the reading, the rest of the cards around it go. But a lot of times, I won't. Well, one time during a mediumship reading, it came up, and it was about the girl's brother, and I immediately like, was your brother a little, risky type of person? Was he? I'm like, was he in a punk band, a rock band, or something like that? And he totally was. So, I mean, there, that devil took on a whole new thing.
Right.
What comes with being in a rock band? Drugs, alcohol, the leather.
I think you're right. The devil is probably one of the most ambiguous cards. It could go in more directions than most of the other cards to me.
Right. And if I do that
Temperance.
temptation, now that I think of my thing was tempting to do what people tell me I shouldn't do. So
I just realized we skipped a card. So quickly,
did.
temperance. We skipped temperance. I know.
Hmm.
Temperance is healing, moderation, harmony, balance. Um, when you are not on screen being Ginger Fae and you're not Mama,
Uh-huh.
what are you doing?
Hmm. That again situation. With my old job, it would be vegging in front of the television because I was so spent. I was so tired physically, mentally, emotionally, But if it's a wonderful day, um, I have a to-do list that I needed to do. I want to start drawing again more. For my 50th birthday 9 years ago, I bought a new 12 string, and so I need to play with her more. And I love being outdoors, and I'm totally Miss Earth Healer. So nature. I love being in nature. Um, I don't like going out amongst the people. Before I knew I was an empath, I just couldn't be. Now, then finding out I was an empath, that's why I can't be around people.
Well, that's how I found out was Walmart.
Oh my gosh. I can't. There's a funny thing. It was on Instagram. So there's this guy who puts on this real Southern accent, and he's trying to be the principal of the school. And he says, the audacity, the audacity. I went to go into public, and the public had the audacity to be there the same time as me. The audacity. I'm like, he's describing me to a T.
Yeah, I married a Capricorn. He does not like people. He really doesn't. He likes being at home. And
Yes, a 12
I
string. I owned 4 guitars at one time. I played heavy metal, and
dude, what?
dude, Judas Priest is what I learned.
Defenders of the Faith. Ugh.
Scorpions, uh, Rush.
I'm sorry, I'm a
Yeah.
metalhead, you guys. You didn't know that, but
They're
before I
finding that
was
about me. They're finding that all about me. I
right, well, that's why
little
I do
by
these
little,
shows.
the last month or so, they're finding out I'm just not this cute little fairy girl. I'm somebody put in the chat earlier, I think it was Heather, the Gothic Fae is here.
Yeah, I saw that. So, how did you choose the name Ginger Fae, real quick?
Oh, okay. So trying to come up with a channel name. I kind of wanted to incorporate fairy somehow, but through Kelly Fitzgerald, if you don't know who she is, check out her stuff. If you ever want to deep dive into a deck, watch her walkthroughs. Um, oh, yeah, it's been a while, Miss D. My calluses are no more. And that 12 string hurts when you have no calluses. I may someday, but anyway, so trying to figure out. I learned about the Fae being a different being than fairy, and I'm like, I am so Fae and not fairy. And my middle name is Ray, and one day it just flowed, Ginger Fae.
I like it. I,
Yeah.
I think it's a phenomenal
Well,
moniker,
thank
by
you,
the
because
way.
I still struggle with that. Sounds so stupid, Ginger. Couldn't you pick something else?
No, I like Ginger. Well, mainly because I'm a fire sign.
Yeah.
Fire is everything, air and fire. And Ginger is a fire
Mhm.
herb. It's a fire
Although
sign.
this is bottle fire, it's not natural. But my grandmother had auburn hair. You know,
Never admit
the
that.
Dutch side of the family.
All right, we've got the tower, which represents upheaval, sudden change, and revelation. You're going through the tower right now.
Oh boy, yeah. And there again, another eye opener, learning into deep diving in the tarot, what tower is. Yeah, so we had that tower moment. We had that hurricane. My yard and the road right next to me was just wall to wall trees. Um, but the adventurous side of me took over, and I made it. I tried to make it an adventure for my sons, and and I was just telling Brendan how it's too bad his father never wanted to go camping. I mean, I feel like that is such an important part of a young man's life, is to camp and cook and do all this stuff. And then so the first day, our power went out. How am I going to cook? And then it was like
How did
cast
you cook?
iron skillet. A few years ago, bought a Paula Deen cast iron skillet, and we put that on there. We put 2 pounds of bacon in it, and then we scrambled some eggs. And I'm like, Brendan, this is camping. This is how you cook when you go camping. So, tower moments, again, wheel happens. And I've just learned through the spiritual journey. Um, I can't say everything's smooth water, of course, through doing something like this, but try to figure out the best way to navigate to keep things as normal as I can for my son Kyle, and and resourceful. So I had already decorated for Halloween. So
Mm-hmm.
here comes nighttime. 20 battery operated candles. We were not in the dark. And it made the whole mood, because I had already decorated for Halloween, all that ambient. If I went back to that devil card, it's like that dark. I'm sorry. I have a dark side. It's slipping out.
Your name is Ginger Fae. Anybody who knows Fae knows that it's a beautiful darkness. Okay.
It's a beautiful darkness. Miss, I almost said Miss Hug. I'm just tarot-y. Oh, I just again think the community, you people, most I've never met, and just to the love that poured out, I just touched my heart. Thank you, thank you.
And being psychics, we can project that love far.
I felt it. I still feel it. Thank you.
uh, the star
Yeah.
signifies hope,
Oh,
inspiration, and renewal. I'm gonna harp on the what got you through this. What was
exactly.
your guiding star?
Hope, renewal. Um, because we weren't. I mean, we were without power. Yes. Um, we had plenty of food. I mean, we were running out of things to cook by that fifth day that the power finally came on, thankfully. But we had 2 cans of SpaghettiOs in the pantry. I was like, okay, we might just have to make SpaghettiOs for dinner tonight. And I told Brendan, we have things. It just won't be gourmet. We have nut mixes. We have peanut butter. We have crackers and soups, And so I was blessed because, and also living in California, you have to have a preparedness kit for everything, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I was very fortunate because my home itself was not affected. And just praying that, like, I pulled cards on a Monday and asked how the week was going to go. And on the Tuesday cards, there was the Ten of Cups. There was the a Page of Swords, and I forget what the other one was. I'm like, does that mean the lights are going to come on Tuesday? And I don't know if Kyle heard me or not. Kyle's very, very intuitive, and he kept saying lights are coming on Tuesday. So I don't know if he heard me tell my other son that or not, but they came on Tuesday. But
Awesome.
the road I have traveled, I have always had. I mean, there was no reason not to. The love and the guidance of Father Creator, of spirit guides, guiding me, keeping us our heads above water, always looking out for us, and I just kept that faith moving through this ordeal. So that's what helped me.
Um, yeah, I can't stress enough, Ginger, how much people are concerned about you.
Oh, appreciated
The
that.
moon represents illusions, dreams, and the subconscious. I had a special question for this card,
Mhm.
but I'm scrapping it because it just, I'm thinking about it in my head and it just has nothing to do with anything. I can't
I'm a
remember what
moon
my motivation
child.
was.
Does that help?
Um, I really have no question with the moon that we didn't cover in the High Priestess.
Right.
What is the moon card for you?
Well, I know it can mean deep fears and all that stuff, but I've just
Hmm.
always been fascinated with the moon. And when I found out cancers are moon children, of course that heightened it. But I always looked at the moon, and instead of seeing the man in the moon, I saw a like a almost an anime version of a before I knew what anime was, the big eyes, a Indian maiden,
Oh, I know.
and I would call her Hiawatha. And just I just still, that's the inner child in me. I'm just so fascinated with that orb up in the sky. And then I got this beautiful deck called Spirit of the Wheel, and in that deck they referred to the moon as Grandmother Moon, and I'm like, that's why I always thought, she's an Indian maiden, and it's like, so now it's Grandmother Moon.
That's
um
awesome.
I love the moon. It's just so
The
beautiful. It's so
moon, to
unique.
me, I always associate it with Pisces.
Yes.
and Pisces is the house of secrets. I can't really ask you about your secrets on that, on
Right. I've
we're
already
international right
revealed
now.
a few. I've already revealed how, gothic I am.
Right.
Yeah, because, being a Cancer too, I'm just so good at keeping secrets. Unless you scorn me, then watch out. So there's
Okay.
a
Good
secret
to
for you.
know.
You can tell me your secret. It's safe with me, but don't scorn me.
Let's go on to the sun, which embodies joy, success, and vitality.
Yeah,
Um, what
it is. Yeah.
is the image of success for you?
I thought you were talking about the image of the naked baby creepy thing on the horse.
Ain't that a creepy little dude? And it's supposed to be the god Apollo, but it just looks creepy.
He's a baby god, Apollo. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's because the
I
sun
love
card.
Apollo, by the way. I can talk about that. Apollo, I learned, helps control the weather amongst the plethora of things he does. And so, whenever Special Olympics came, there was always rain in the forecast. And I would call upon Apollo and ask him, I know it must rain, but can you please keep the clouds away from Furman University so that all
Mhm.
these special needs individuals can have a beautiful day? And we've never had rain happen.
That's awesome.
When I see little babies knowing that they're going to be waiting in the rain at the bus stop, I'm like, Apollo, I know it must rain, but if it must rain, if you can't get rid of the rain for a couple hours, at least lighten the rain so it won't be, and suddenly it would lighten. So, speaking of Apollo, but what was the real question?
There was no real question.
Embodies joy. I just, yeah, sometimes it's hard to be joyful, but I really do try. It's an effort.
Oh, I remember the question.
Okay.
What is your image of success?
Oh, um, well, right now that's kind of being fulfilled through my sons, how I raised them, and how like my son, who's capable of being the adult out into the world, has
Mhm.
truly listened to my words of advice. Um, and they're both beautiful, compassionate souls. And so there is where, I still go through, I could have been a better mother, you know, but when I think about all that we've been through, that's success for me. That seeing a stranger man come up to me and say, "Your son is the most wonderful man,"
Hmm.
and that's just confirmation that I did something successful, and that was being a parent.
Everything you have said throughout this interview just centers around your children. I find it hard to believe
I
that you
don't
would
need to,
not
huh, but
be a
it
good.
does, right?
No, I love that. Are you kidding? This is
Mm,
a side of you that I hadn't really taken into account. That
right.
the mother ginger is so powerful.
Yeah.
That's excellent to hear.
Right.
Um, we're going to go on to the judgment card, which is rebirth, judgment, and inner calling. If you had to define your inner calling, how would you define it? I know, not an easy question.
Yeah. Um, but in a way, it is because I feel like the inner calling to always be that savior type, that nurturer type, the healer. What the heck is going on? Oh, um,
Judgment time! Judgment time!
Brendan, are you there? We got you go pick up Kyle. Um, let me text Brendan real quick. That's a reminder that. So Kyle goes to the special needs youth group, and hang on one second.
No
Okay,
problem.
let me ask him.
While you do that, I can tell everybody Jonathan is saying about Apollo. My first time my Apollo was put on a horse, he was only 1 year old, and he immediately said, "Done, done," with eyes wide. That's cute. I love Apollo because he is the brother
He's
to my
just
deity
okay.
Hermes.
Do you have the John Bauer tarot?
No.
Oh, okay. There's a card in there. It might be a page of um, was it air? I can't remember. He's blowing a horn, and I told Jonathan, "This looks like Apollo." I sent him the picture. It looks just like Apollo. But that inner calling was to be a healer, and whether it's through energy, through my words, through my compassion, and I am blessed to be able to do that through this Ethernet YouTube, and I'm one of the blessed ones that feel like I I am accomplishing that inner calling. um,
You
so
are.
yeah,
I love that.
for sure. And I
YouTube
don't
has
judge. If you
allowed
go
a
to
lot
judgment,
of
I don't
us.
judge people. I grew up in California, and you can't. That there's no such thing as
We
judging.
don't judge in California. I know.
Yeah,
That's why moving to Arizona was so
people,
weird. They're
people.
so
So
angry here.
no, yeah. So yeah. And then
Um,
rebirth. I feel like I've gone through this rebirth when I discovered this new age spirituality.
it's neat to think that there's so much more for us to do, that we're evolving. And I'm in my mid 50s, and I wasn't expecting to go for another step of evolution.
Right. Right.
Thought I was done, but no, here we are.
Divine
So,
time.
yeah,
Okay.
we have reached
The
the last
world.
card. It represents the world, represents completion, achievement, and fulfillment. What do you still have to achieve? What are your goals?
Chief. I goals. You know, to continue, definitely to continue this, and just ever evolving in it. Um, on a spiritual level, with channeling and that kind of thing. If I were to do it on a spiritual level, on a 3D world level, um, you know, I have two different. Well, it can be the same dream. I would love to open a a tea house.
Oh my God, Ginger, are you lying? I had this conversation yesterday. That's what I want to do.
Oh well, then we have to be partners. I
Let's do
literally
it
want like a Victorian style home and
with a
turning it
parlor.
into with a parlor. This
Yeah,
one, this one tea house in Long Beach. You walk in to the parlor, and you go pick your teacup, you pick your hat. Nowadays, of course, I wouldn't be wearing somebody else's hat, but um, and but it's like tea house by day, tarot by night. Having either classes or doing readings, healings, have maybe a little gift shop, and my vision was to be on a large piece of land so that people can come in anytime and go out and meditate in the garden. Um,
right.
and so that would be an achievement I would like to have, is a big land that I could also call it a reserve.
Preserve?
I'm
A
gonna
tarot
put
preserve.
boysenberry preserves everywhere. Um, a reserve, because we, especially being here in South Carolina, what I loved about it is when I first moved here was all the beautiful land and the woods and the animals and deer coming through the front yard and stuff. And we're getting overcrowded here. We're losing the land. And I want to be able to have enough land that Now, I don't want to be overcrowded with animals and bears, oh my, but that's a dream. And then, I would still like to find a life partner to share it with, you know.
I love the idea of opening a tea shop. That is my
Yeah.
goal. And my husband and I were talking about it. The store that I read cards at
Uh-huh.
is she's going to be selling, so we were floating the idea of buying it. Um, yeah, the tea shop is gonna have to eventually
Yeah. I realize I can't do it on my own. I would need a partner. But
I just have a lot going on right now. Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk. Um,
yeah,
but for now, we've been
anyway,
going for 135.
yeah, there we are.
Uh,
Ta-da.
I have had such a blast. So here's what I've learned about Ginger Fae.
Oh dear.
We were neighbors and didn't even know it. Um, a dedicated mother,
Mhm.
a hero. The way you handled the hurricane with your kids and I just love that. My mom used to do things like that. We were dirt poor, and she would do
Right.
things like Easter, put little piles of flour throughout the
Uh-huh.
yard with, and
Oh
she'd do
wow.
like this with her hands and make bunny feet,
Love it.
and
Love
she would
it.
do things like that. We couldn't afford crap, but she
Right.
made things fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
hearing your story reminds me of those times,
Oh, that's
and
wonderful.
um, I think you are a
Mm.
fascinating, fascinating woman.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I'm going to open the
Mhm.
floor to see if anybody has questions that they would like to ask Miss Ginger.
Oh,
Um,
Lordy. And who's Ghost Squad Scotland Network? I love that
yep,
name. I
I'm trying to get him on my show, but it's just
I was
life
going to
keeps
say, maybe we
happening.
need to do a collaboration here.
That would be
You, me, Ghosty, Ramon, whenever you can pin him down. We're supposed to do a paranormal where, and I would invite you as well. And instead of doing an investigation, a real life investigation, I want to make up a ghost story by pulling, um, what made me move down south. Okay. The man formerly known as my husband saw
I love it.
green.
Every time you say that, it makes me giggle.
The word X just, makes me think trailer park trash thing. But he would watch NASCAR and kept saying, move to Greenville or visit Greenville. And he met somebody who actually lived here and said what a beautiful place it was. And I'm like, you're moving me 2,000 miles away from my family. And then after a little bit, like let's move 2,000 miles away from my family and his family. Let's try to start something new. And but the moment I set foot here, I felt at home, and it just felt right to be here. And then 3 years later, when he went on his little escape route, my sister kept asking me, "When are you coming home?" And I said, "I am home. I belong here." And then my sister-in-law did ancestry.com, and I knew my great grandmother was from Mississippi, but I even visited ancestral graves that are half an hour from my home. So it's no wonder I feel at home here.
I, as- I couldn't move that far away from everything at this point in my life.
Right.
When I was younger, I was a gypsy. I went from California to New Orleans to New
Oh wow.
Mexico I just wanted to travel. I was the fool on his journey,
Uh huh.
and
Uh
I
huh.
knew it. I knew it, and it sounds like oh, Harley's here. Hi, Harley.
Harley, one of my
And
biggest people. I love her.
Um,
Perfect.
yes, we want we want communications. So also, please subscribe to Miss Ginger Fae's channel.
I would love that. Thank you.
It is in the description box on this video you're watching. Also, just Google Ginger Fae Tarot.
Yeah.
Divine Messages.
Ginger. Now I can't even say it. Ginger Fae is such a long name. What was I thinking? Ginger Fae Tarot and Divine Musings, and the reason why I called it that is I have a Facebook group called Ginger Fae. God bless it. Ginger Fae Divine. What did I name it? Now I can't even think about it. I put it on hold because I haven't been able to give it proper attention. But Ginger Fae Hidden Divine Musings. Wait. Oh my gosh, I can't.
Girl, shorten it. Use an
So
acronym.
yeah. So when I didn't want to hidden hollow Ginger Fae. It was the
Ooh.
Hidden Hollow and Divine Musings or something like that. But and so I didn't want to call it the channel the same name. So I just kind of shortened that. Divine Musings, because it's not just tarot. I love all things spiritual.
The the way I still can't get over the way you describe the spirit
Yeah,
touching you. It's we really need to
it's
discuss this on a deeper
yeah,
level. Do a whole
yeah.
show about it maybe.
Uh-huh.
But
Claire
but
sentient
for now,
for me.
I'm gonna ask you: are you able to pull a reading for the group before we
Sure.
end this for tonight?
Yeah. You pulling too?
Absolutely. I'm gonna use my dark wood tarot.
Ooh. I have on my table at all times the Mystic Palette. Um,
Hmm.
I just get the best readings from this deck. So,
Somewhere hanging throughout my house is my Tarot of Dreams by Ciro Marchetti.
ooh.
I put it up, and I when I do my bags, I have these little tags that I put on here like this to tell me what they
Right.
are.
Love it.
But something happened, and all of my tags are messed up. I think I've just been taking them out of the bags and putting them back in other
Ah.
bags. So I can't find my Tarot of Dreams, and it's driving
Oh
me
my
crazy.
gosh. He's a wonderful artist.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him on my show. Marion Kirk is trying to hook that up for me.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
How
And
many
then
cards?
another one I would love to have is Arthur Wang. I'm going to pull 3 cards.
Three. Okay, let's do this. For the
One,
collective.
2, 3. All right, you want to go, or would you like me to
All
go?
right. Sure, I can go. Okay, so first of all, okay, so this is for the collective, the energies, this fantabulous queen of fire. I think it's very important that we all just wake up and realize that what light and magic within us grows, and it's just waiting to be discovered to illuminate. And look at her, she's so fiery, she's illuminated. And in this orb here is a dragon, and dragons are made up of all 4 elements. And it's just almost like the magician card, this particular image. Just we have such light within us that needs to come out. So if we need to go deep and revisit who we truly are, some of us, our lights have been suppressed, and it's now in this day of age we need to express our light. You want to take turns, or you want me to keep going?
Oh, keep going, my love.
Oh, okay. What I love this Ace of coins here, Ace of Earth. One thing I learned about the Ace of Earth is, it's important for us all to create a healing sanctuary, whether it's in our yards, in our homes. And here we have two, excuse me, two wolf cubs. So that's the beginning of your journey, being kind of that a calling to be a leader, as we were talking earlier. Being the leader, being the nurturer, being using the energies that surround us to navigate through life, to sustain us. And then in this image also is the stag, which is a very spiritual image for me. And the stag always represent the antlers to me, because I have this one deck called the Strange Antlers. It's French. And when in going into that deck, I just felt like antlers are that connectivity to spirit, to source energy. It's our antennas, so to speak. So, and then I got this beautiful Seven of Earth. And again, we just, if we know we have good intentions when we're planting our seeds, we should also know that we can't force things to grow as we wish them to just sit back and enjoy the process. And there's a little bird here. So you have your companion, you have spirit. Oh, there's also a cute little kitty cat. So yeah, so plant those seeds with intentions and nurture it with your energy, with spirit, each and every day. And just watch and enjoy the process. Watch the fruit ripen, and you'll intuitively know it's the right time. So that's my message for everyone.
For me, my daily reading for the room, the shooting cards, card, and upside down Six of Swords, and an upside down Eight of Swords, which is too bad because I really like it for a second. What I get from this is, and this is coming for a specific person, and I know this because I'm feeling this on the side of my head, which means it's not one of my guides, it's one of yours.
Mm-hmm.
The Hermit card deals with Virgo. Virgo is all about your health, watching, taking care of yourself, taking care of your health. That with the Six of Swords upside down, don't be too active right now. For some reason, this is saying you need to stop. Every time I say stop, I have to say hammer time in my head. Uh, you need to slow your roll. As you guys have heard me say on my show before, calm your tits, okay? Just chill, right? Don't rush into anything, right? Now, the last card we have is the upside down Eight of Wands. As a follower of Hermes, I'm real big on communication. I've mentioned this before many times. When I get the Eight of Wands, it's usually about communication and things happening at the speed of thought. Um, don't be pushed into something. Don't let somebody maneuver you into doing something you don't want to do. If it's a trip, which I think it might be, don't go if your health isn't up to it, okay? Create your boundaries. Boundaries are the huge thing with me. Again, we're back to Hermes, god of boundaries. Brother to Apollo, Jonathan. So, yes. I want to thank you, Ginger, again for being on my program.
I'm
You
honored.
bring a
Thank
touch of
you.
class anytime you do a show, and I
Oh,
love that.
I don't know about that, but thank
So before we cut for tonight, does anybody have a last question or anything for Ginger?
you.
Going once?
And on that note, this community has helped build confidence, in gifts and abilities, and it also helps develop them too, because it only gets stronger. Oh, can I tell a quick story?
Absolutely. You can do whatever you
Okay,
want.
so this is a funny when I'm learning to communicate with my team. Every November, I have to watch how I go to work because deer mating season. So you don't want to hit. Thank you, Harley. You don't want to hit a deer. And so
Especially when it gets some nookie.
on the way to work, I pass by a farm. Well, several farms, but this particular farm that's close to the house. So one morning I'm driving and I'm saying, please keep my path clear of deer. And as I come around the corner, I pass this one farm and I hear cows. I'm like, yes, I know those are cows, but I'm asking to help me be clear of deer. Next morning, I'm doing the same thing. Please help keep my path clear of deer. I hear the word cows again. I'm like, I know those are cows. I'm saying deer. Third morning, I come around the bend, cows everywhere. They had gotten out of the fence. And I'm like, okay, cows. Yeah.
Since I've lived here, we've had in my front yard coyotes, javelina. About 2014, the yard was full of them. We've had
Javelina?
hawks, house javelinas.
What's that?
I live in a very
What's
they're wild boar.
boar? Okay. Oh, we
Yeah,
have boar here.
they're nasty little suckers too, and they
Yeah,
smell like Bigfoot.
I'm sure.
Um, but yeah, I live in a close
Karen.
wooded mountain area, so
Uh-huh.
we get a lot of aminals.
Yeah.
All right, Ginger, thank you
Oh,
so much.
thank you
Please
so
stick
much.
around backstage. I want to talk to you. Everybody, thank
Absolutely.
you for joining us. I've had a blast. And
It's been great
please
getting to know you.
subscribe to Ginger's channel. Please check out her Paranormal. And I hope to be doing this again with you soon. So
Yeah.
we'll see you guys soon.
Okay.
Don't go nowhere, Ginger.
Okay.